Hey there, Bourbon Real Talk listeners. Randy Sullivan here to talk with you about the hashtag Still Strong Texas initiative. So I don't know if you guys know this, but virtually every craft distillery in the state of Texas shut down their operations when COVID hit because they wanted to contribute to the cause and voluntarily decided to make hand sanitizer instead of the spirits that they used to keep their businesses afloat. And they had a tremendous impact. They absolutely saved lives. They helped first responders. They helped medical staff. It was a beautiful, altruistic thing that they did. But unfortunately, many of those craft producers are now struggling. Now, if you're not a huge craft producer, supporter, totally understand, but there's kind of a misconception out there that the reason why they're struggling is because their products aren't good. And that's simply not the case, okay? There's actually a lot of demand for their products, but they have some barriers that are keeping them from selling their products to the people that desperately want them. And that problem has been exacerbated by the COVID-19 epidemic, okay? And so basically, if you were to think about distilleries, right? When you've got a great big distillery like say Jim Beam or Jack Daniels, they have brand awareness with a huge percentage of the buying public. And so local liquor stores can feel comfortable carrying their products and putting them on the shelves because they know that virtually everyone that walks into the store is going to see that bottle, know exactly what it is, and be able to make an informed decision about whether or not they're going to buy it. But that's kind of not the way that it works for craft producers because people just haven't been exposed to those brands before. And so all of the craft producers in the state of Texas basically grow their brand with a strong ground game. What does that look like? Well, it means that they're getting out in the public. They're going out to bars, they're going out to liquor stores, they are giving away free samples, they're doing educational seminars, and many of them have stepped up their ground game by making their distillery a tourist destination. And then that way, people can come in and have a true, authentic experience and fall in love with the people and the brand and their passion. And that is all well and good, except they are completely prohibited from doing that right now because of COVID. And so we are in this really weird situation where we have laws in the state of Texas that have effectively been on the books since post-prohibition that prevent our craft producers of spirits from doing what it is that they need to do to find the sales that they need to keep from going out of business. And anything that they would normally have done to stay in business is now prohibited because of the pandemic. And so what do we do? Well, that's what the hashtag Still Strong initiative is all about. We are effectively raising money to make three changes. The first change is that we want to allow craft producers in the state of Texas, and let me be clear, this isn't just for whiskey. It's anybody who produces a spirit, because in the state of Texas, we have separate laws for wine producers, we have separate laws for beer producers, and we have separate laws for spirits producers. So the change that we're asking for is actually a change that's already been done in the beer and the wine section. It just hasn't been done in the spirit section yet in the state of Texas. It has in a lot of other states, but not in Texas. So what we want is we want the laws to be changed so that producers can provide contactless delivery of their products to their consumers. This is going to lower the risk of the spread of the pandemic, but it's also going to provide an outlet for those producers to be able to fully capitalize the relationships that they've built in the past. So remember when we were talking earlier about what it's like for a liquor store to be able to stock things on their shelves so that most of the customers that come in know what it is that they're seeing whenever they see it? Well, craft producers bust their tails and they produce that type of brand awareness, but they don't do it with, say, 50 or 60% of the population in one city. They do it with, say, 10,000 people that are spread out all over the whole state of Texas, sometimes outside of the state of Texas. And unfortunately, it's no longer safe for a local retailer to be able to bring those products in because they might have one rabid fan that's a regular customer at that retailer. But that's not enough to justify the cost of keeping that inventory on the shelf. And the retail partner doesn't have the time, energy, or effort to try to convince other customers to buy that brand over the known brands that are, a for sure bet for that retail partner. And so if we could provide contactless delivery, which would be shipping in the state of Texas, that would allow all of these craft producers that have all of these great relationships that are too spread out for them to fully take advantage of in the 3-tier system to go back and remonetize those relationships that they fought hard and earned as small business owners. And so we want contactless shipping, okay? We also want to get rid of any regulation that's going to prevent that retailer from selling the number of bottles to the consumer that they want. Because right now there's a law in the books that says that these producers can only sell 2 bottles to each customer every 30 days. Well, that's pretty restrictive, especially for some of our Texas brands that had a lot of different lines of products. And so if somebody, really fell in love with them and wanted to buy one of each, they can't. They can only buy 2. And then lastly, we would like them to be able to do this 7 days a week, right? Because right now they're prohibited from selling their products on Sunday, and that is a huge disadvantage. And it's always been a huge disadvantage for those that depend on tourism to grow their business, because Sunday is the second largest tourism day for craft producers in the state of Texas. And when the customers come in on those days, they're not able to sell them product. And if the customer happens to live in an area where the product's not currently distributed through a retailer, then that customer never gets to buy the products. And so we want to change those 3 laws. So let's talk about what's going to happen if we do that. So if we do, we're going to provide consumer choice, because right now there are consumers out there that desperately want to buy a product, but they can't because it's not available at their local retailer. All we're asking is for the government to allow free enterprise to either save itself or allow itself to die on the vine. That's it. So what happens if we don't do this? Well, there's an estimate out there that about 30% of Texas craft producers are going to go out of business by the end of the year in 2020. And that would be a travesty, especially considering that these are the same businesses that voluntarily shut down operations to try and save the public by producing hand sanitizer to prevent the spread of the pandemic. And they absolutely did save lives. And we don't want to punish them for having done that. We want to reward them. And all we're asking as a reward is to allow them to sell their products to the people that want it. That's it, right? Also, if we don't do this, we're kind of going to be on the wrong side of history here, because this is a change that's going to happen. Is Governor Abbott, okay, who has the ability to fix all of this with an executive order, going to take this opportunity to be the hero that we know that he can be, the way that he did with Cocktails to Go to save the restaurant industry? Is he also going to step up to the plate and be a hero for the spirits industry? I think he is, but he needs to hear your voice to know that it's important to Texas consumers that this change take place, okay? So all we're asking you to do, we're asking everybody to donate. Now, we want you to donate as much as you feel comfortable with. We're not asking anyone to donate anything that they're not comfortable with, but we're suggesting a minimum donation of $50, which is about the price of a decent bottle of whiskey. And we believe that because if we all come together and we all do this, we are going to be able to make a huge difference. And guess what? You can contribute if you're outside of the state of Texas, because if you do love Texas spirits and you would like them to be able to ship to you, it's not going to happen unless you support this. Come one, come all. We don't care. If you understand and you support this agenda, we'd love for you to contribute in any way that you feel comfortable. And we're so happy to have you, and thank you so much for your contribution.